Today, you're coming with me for a day in my life here in Iceland. I just got up, lots going on, including that I'm moving, not necessarily just today, but in general. So lots of stuff, and you're gonna see some of the errands and activities that I gotta get done around town. So let's get into it. It's a little bit of my morning routine. Of course, getting my breath fresh and washing my face. Actually, I do this before I get into the shower, and it's quite the process of different products. But after I've showered, I then picked my outfit, so I'm wearing today. I'm trying to get in as much of my summer maternity wear as possible. Followed by putting on my makeup. This is a palette by Urban Decay. I don't remember the name, but it has gold eyeshadow, so I like it. I messed up this one. Horrible. I made it too thick. I don't usually film and do my liner. Let me thicken this other one just for why not. It's done. It looks a little crazy, but that's okay. We'll roll with it. All right, on our way. First order of business is that I have a podcast interview, a video interview that I'm doing this morning. There's been construction by my house, so I'm actually going to go to the library. I booked the podcast room in order to do that, so we're heading over there, downtown. Well, I already live downtown, but more downtown. This is outside of the library, Grófarhúsið, downtown, and what's awesome is that if you have a library card, then you can go to the 5th floor, and, well, you can book online if you want, but on the 5th floor is the Kampan room, or the podcast room, that's totally free, and I believe you can get it for up to 2 hours, so that's what I did for this particular day, and this is the location of it, as well as my setup. So I just had a couple of things that I moved out of the way in order to have my official setup after the interview. These are the people, Anne and Johannes, who I was talking to and had a wonderful time chatting. Okay, I just finished recording. That was a great interview, and I'm excited about sharing it. It's about being a citizen scientist in Iceland. Really cool, different. Technical difficulties, oh my goodness. I don't think it specifically was the library's doing in terms of like the Wi-Fi, but sometimes when you're doing, things digitally, anything can happen. And there were times where like we couldn't hear each other in the beginning, and the little hiccups that happened, but all went well. Excited about sharing that. And now I need to go eat. My time here, I had it for 2 hours, and that's almost up. So I'm gonna go have my peanut butter and jelly sandwich and my protein shake in the car before heading off to IKEA, because I wanna go pick up some boxes for moving, because yeah. Time to chow down. Peanut butter and jelly. And I have it's actually not Huel that I'm using Sun Warrior protein powder, vegan protein powder. I will never stop having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I'm hoping our kid likes them too, because I want to pass this down from my childhood. I am starving because I have not had breakfast. So, yeah. IKEA, this ginormous store, which is, I think, pretty much the same looking everywhere. But if people are curious to go on a little tour of IKEA, let me know and I can make a video about that. And it's funny because the boxes here, at least for Icelandic standards, are relatively affordable. So I got about like 15 of those because I needed them. And I ended up actually having to get more boxes, but this at least was getting me enough for what was at the time I thought was good. And going through the store, I always love going past the bakery part, see what they're up to. I think they were making kleinur, which is a type of Icelandic donut, but I'm not 100% sure. It's just kind of fascinating to watch. Krónan, the grocery store, is usually my go-to. It's a toss-up between Bonus and Krónan, and sometimes Hagkaup, but inside this is what it looks like. I do have some info in terms of a video for grocery stores and the difference between them here.
because I think that would be really helpful for people. So just the FYI, that's a video I am working on, and I just picked up a few different things on my list. This was, it's been a crazy time with moving. It ended up being around $166 that I paid for what is somewhat the equivalent of 3 bags of groceries, which in Iceland is decent. And then back to my garage. So like I mentioned, I'm moving from here. By the time that you see this video, I am already gone from here, and I hope you're missing my indoor parking spot. But that's okay. And I'm just heading off to then into my apartment so I can get my groceries done. And this is just one of those things where now that I'm looking back on it, it's like, oh, it was so lovely living here and I enjoyed it so much, but time to move on, on to other things and living with like Halle, the baby, and all that jazz. As you can see in the background, there's like clothes and everything, but in essence, getting the groceries done and all of that. I mean, being pregnant and doing this is so much more work than not being pregnant. Like, it didn't dawn on me how much more effort just these little things take, but it is definitely the case that this was a little bit more tiring. Granted, I'd been using a lot of brain power earlier in the day for the podcast episode, but whew. The groceries have been put away. I haven't had lunch yet, but I'm not hungry because I kind of spaced out my 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and my protein shake. So I just kind of picked up this thing called Lazy Vegan from the supermarket here. It's the Korean noodles one. I've never had that. But anyway, it's supposed to only take, I think, like 8 minutes once you do a little bit on the pan. And I'm gonna pack that with me to take to the library. So I've been working in the library. There's been construction, as I mentioned earlier, happening near my house, but also it's been nice to get out of the chaos of not only the construction, but moving. So I have like boxes and bags and stuff everywhere. And just my normal environment to go and be somewhere else. I feel like my mind is much more clear and able to like sort through the things I need to get done. So get that together, head out to the library. And also what prompted me to work at this library is that Halle, so he's a professional jazz musician and also works in construction. So he has a construction project at that library. So incentive wise, I like to go to that library. Free parking, first of all, where I parked downtown for this interview that I did earlier this morning. He had to pay for the parking. And since I have a couple of bags with me, it actually is easier to go just like 10 minutes drive out of town to a suburb where the parking is free by the library and get to see my boo. So why not? Win-win. So get this done and then we're out again. Straight out the package, this is what the frozen meal looks like. And once it's been fully warmed up, it is quite delicious. I have to add a little bit of salt to it, but whatever, it's fine. And then I was back out to go to the library in order to work. And you can see all of the construction I'm talking about. That's literally right behind where I live. There's banging and drilling and all sorts of stuff going on, which makes it a lot harder to record and do different things. So off to the library in Kopelvogur, and fun surprise, here's Halle working. I was sneaking up on him. He didn't know I was filming. It was cute watching him work. And then I went to go find my space. I normally have a different space and I go to that later on, but this is where I was sitting. And if people like this bag, I designed it. It's in my store. It's a link in the description. I have different bags and things like that, cups and fun things that are Iceland related. What I love especially about this particular library is they have a terrace where you can go out if it's nice weather. And at this point, I felt hungry, so I was eating that food that I had warmed up outside. We were having a little bit of smog from the volcano, so a little bit of pollution, so the view wasn't as good. But it was still nice just to sit outside, eat, relax, and of course, not surprisingly, right after that, feeling tired. Me and the baby were like, woo, we need a break. So I gave myself just like a 15-minute break before getting to work. So I do like one-on-one consultations with people, as well as Savvy Traveler's Guide, which helps, individuals with traveling around Iceland, all that stuff. So those are some of the things that I was working on. If you're interested in those, link in the description. And yes, I know my book bag is open. I noticed that after I did this video. And what's cool is that on the first floor of this library,
There's a little museum there and a lot of kids. It's a kid area on the first floor. So it's also very family friendly and educational, which is awesome. All right, about to drive home from the library. And when I talked to Hale, because the library is closed for the day, it closed at 6. He is actually gonna come back to Jakarta. So basically, we're living in 2 separate places right now because he's renovating his place for when I move in by next week. And he's gonna come by to, it's our places at this point, you know, but to the apartment that maybe you've seen in CNBC's Make It video, whatever else. If you haven't seen that, I'll have a link to it below. I'm gonna go there now and start chopping up stuff for us to cook for dinner so that he'll have food, and well, of course I will have food as well. And we can eat together, and then he'll head over to his apartment and continue doing renovations there. So it's a long day for both of us. I mean, he does several projects during the day, but this is usually, he's not done until like 9 o'clock at night at times and starts at around 8 or 9 in the morning. These are the delicious veggies that I was going to chop up, and this is what they look like before going into the oven. And then the final product, veggies and all plant-based food, so delicious and filling. All right, so in bed, ready to go to sleep. I'm not falling asleep in the robe. I just am not a pajamas person. So I'm just gonna show you in the robe, okay? If you know, you know. And yesterday was a lot of stuff. I would say, you know, I do have days that are like this, especially with creating content, but yeah, it just varies. Every day is so different for me. And I wanted to bring you along for one of the days that had quite a bit going on, and it was kind of fun. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Definitely time to rest, get as much sleep as I can, especially since I have to be packing over the next few days and all that jazz. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you